Note: Session 44, March 28, 1981, and Session 45, April 6, 1981, contain only personal material and were, for that reason, removed from The Law of One, Book 2. The Law of One, Book 2, Session 46, April 15, 1981. Ra, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We communicate now. Questioner: if an entity polarizes towards the service to self path, would anger have the same physical effect that it would have on the entity polarizing on the service to others path? Would it also cause cancer, or is it just a catalytic effect working in the positively polarizing entity? Ra, I am Ra. The catalytic mechanisms are dependent not upon the chosen polarity of a mind-body-spirit complex, but upon the use or purpose to which this catalyst is put. Thus, the entity which uses the experience of anger to polarize consciously, positively, or negatively does not experience the bodily catalyst, but rather uses the catalyst in mental configuration. Questioner: I'm not sure that I understand that. Let's take some examples. An entity polarizing toward the negative path becomes angry. Let's take the condition where he develops a cancer. What is the principle that is at work for him? Ra, I am Ra. We see the thrust of your query and will respond at variance with the specific query if that meets with your approval. Questioner: certainly. Ra, the entity polarizing positively perceives the anger. This entity, if using this catalyst mentally, blesses and loves this anger in itself. It then intensifies this anger consciously in mind alone, until the folly of this red ray energy is perceived not as folly in itself, but as energy subject to spiritual entropy due to the randomness of energy being used. Positive orientation then provides the will and faith to continue this mentally intense experience of letting the anger be understood, accepted, and integrated with the mind-body-spirit complex. The other self, which is the object of anger, is thus transformed into an object of acceptance, understanding, and accommodation, all being reintegrated using the great energy which anger began. The negatively oriented mind-body-spirit complex will use this anger in a similarly conscious fashion, refusing to accept the undirected or random energy of anger and instead, through will and faith, funneling this energy into practical means of venting the negative aspect of this emotion so as to obtain control over other self, or otherwise control the situation causing anger. Control is the key to negatively polarized use of catalyst. Acceptance is the key to positively polarized use of catalyst. Between these polarities lies the potential for this random and undirected energy creating a bodily complex analog of what you would call the cancerous growth of tissue. Questioner: and as I understand it, as you were saying, that if the positively polarizing entity fails to accept the other self, or if the negatively polarizing entity fails to control the other self, either of these conditions will cause cancer, possibly. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is partially correct. The first acceptance, or control depending upon polarity, is of the self. Anger is one of many things to be accepted and loved as part of self or controlled as a part of self, if the entity is to do work. Questioner: then are you saying that if a negatively polarizing entity is unable to control his own anger or unable to control himself in anger, that he may cause cancer? Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is quite correct. The negative polarization contains a great requirement for control and repression. Questioner: a repression of what? Ra, I am Ra. Any mind complex distortion which you may call emotional, which is of itself disorganized, needs, in order to be useful to the negatively oriented entity, to be repressed and then brought to the surface in an organized use. Thus you may find, for instance, negatively polarized entities controlling and repressing such basic bodily complex needs as the sexual desire in order that in the practice thereof the will may be used to enforce itself upon the other self with greater efficiency when the sexual behavior is allowed. Questioner: then the positively oriented entity, rather than attempting repression of emotion, would balance the emotion as stated in an earlier contact. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct and illustrates the path of unity. Questioner. Then Cancer is a training catalyst operating for both polarities in approximately the same way, but creating or attempting to create polarization in both directions, positive and negative, depending upon the orientation of the entity experiencing the catalyst. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is incorrect in that catalyst is unconscious and does not work with intelligence, but rather is part of the, shall we say, mechanism of learned teaching set up by the sublogos before the beginning of your space-time. Questioner. How does Cancer do this learned teaching when the entity developing Cancer has no conscious idea of what is happening to him when he develops Cancer? Ra. I am Ra. In many cases, catalyst is not used. Questioner. What is the plan for use of the catalyst of Cancer? Ra. I am Ra. The catalyst, and all catalyst, is designed to offer experience. This experience in your density may be loved and accepted, or it may be controlled. These are the two paths. When neither path is chosen, the catalyst fails in its design and the entity proceeds until catalyst strikes it, which causes it to form a bias towards acceptance and love or separation and control. There is no lack of space-time in which this catalyst may work. Questioner. I'm assuming that the plan of the Logos is for positively and negatively polarized social memory complexes in fourth density and above. Can you tell me the purpose of the plan for these two types of social memory complexes with respect to Coulomb's law, or negative and positive electrical polarity, or in any way that you can? Ra. I am Ra. This instrument grows weary. We shall speak with you again. We may indicate the possibility, without further harm to this instrument, of approximately 2 sessions per your weekly period until these weeks of potential for attack and presence of very low physical energy are past. May we say it is good to be with this group. We appreciate your fidelity. Are there any brief queries before the end of this work time? Questioner. Only is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or to improve the contact? Ra. I am Ra. Each is supporting the instrument well, and the instrument remains steady in its purpose. You are conscientious. All is well. We ward you ware of any laxity regarding the arrangement and orientation of appurtenances. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.